Who is Lamberto Verdugo? Lamberto Verdugo, not to be confused with Lamberto Quintero, is a underrated and not as known criminal in the country of Mexico, since he belongs to the older generation of narcos in Mexico. Lamberto Verdugo belongs to the region of Culiacan, where his name is more mentioned and is more famous at. Lamberto Verdugo personally got my attention after a famous vlogger from the city of Culiacan known as El Pitin Toys, who is a part of the crew called Los Toys, claims that he worked for him and that he is even his tío or uncle. However, I am not able to verify that. However, Pitin Toys claims that he is family of Lamberto Verdugo and even has a song where he shouts out Lamberto Verdugo with the lyrics, "Mr. Lamberto Verdugo, you're in heaven now, but as you remember, you were the man that showed me his hands." And after hearing so much about this character, I decided to make a small documentary about him. Lamberto Verdugo, whose real name is Jose Lamberto Verdugo Calderon, is originally from a small town known as El Monteverde, Sinaloa, which only has around 400 people living in it. It's also a part of El Salado, a very famous town of Sinaloa where El Mayo was presumably hiding at. Lamberto was the oldest of his 12 siblings, where out of his 12 he only had one sister. His parents' names were Ismael Verdugo Ortega and Guillerma Calderon Lopez. From a very young age, Lamberto had to migrate to the United States since his dad couldn't take care of him. And when Lamberto migrated to the United States, everything changed for him, as he began his criminal career in Arizona, where he started selling cocaine and weed that he would get his hands on, all the way from southern Culiacan. But his stay in the United States wasn't for long, as he got identified by the US authorities and was on the radar, so he decided to return back to his homeland. The story goes that as he goes back to Mexico, he was already working for Mayo Zambada, who was living in El Alamo, another town close to El Salado. And in the beginning of the early 2000s, the name Lamberto Verdugo was already earning fame among the policemen of Culiacan, who a big part of them are corrupt. However, the policemen of Culiacan weren't mentioning his name because they were on his payroll, but instead because he was a person that avoided them at all costs, so he wouldn't have to pay them and keep that extra money for himself. A former municipal police from Culiacan says Lamberto is a very stingy. He prefers to change his routes instead of giving us some money. On December 14, 2008, Lamberto's name became publicly known after a posada was held in the ranch Los Mezquites, located in Costa Rica, Sinaloa, a municipality of Culiacan, when all of a sudden soldiers from the 9th Military Zone arrived at the party after they had been alerted that El Mayo Zambada was in the party. However, when the military arrived, they only found municipal police officers who were guarding the party, since Lamberto and his boss, El Mayo, had already been alerted about the upcoming arrival of the military. They managed to escape, but Lamberto's name had come to the light already. The beginning of the end came to Lamberto after that party. On September 14, 2008, Lamberto Verdugo suffered his biggest blow when the army began a search warrant for him in his residency located in Rincón del Valle neighborhood in Culiacan, Sinaloa, where they seized $26 million, weapons, and drugs. Inside the house, they found documents with the name Jesus Alfredo Verdugo, another brother of Lamberto, who according to the PGR was the owner of the $26 million, who carried out the money laundering activities for the organization of El Mayo Zambada, one of the leaders of the Sinaloa cartel. Since then, nothing was heard of Lamberto Verdugo until a Thursday of November 2008, when the military shot him dead after he skipped a checkpoint on the road of Sinaloa. He lost his life like most criminals.
El correo de Lamberto Verdugo lo proyectamos en vivo para ustedes. Adelante, caminante.